Lots of big things happening around the NFL. There are a couple running backs that are just skyrocketing up rankings. We're going to start with a big one here with Jonathan Taylor. What the heck's going on with Jonathan Taylor? You have to consider the guys behind him if you're going to think about JT potentially holding out, potentially not playing because of injury. Maybe he injured his back. Maybe he didn't. Who actually knows? But we're talking about Evan Hull and we're talking about Deon Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think there's a really good chance Jonathan Taylor doesn't play at all this year. He's not getting paid. The Colts have made that clear, and he might not get traded. So
I disagree.
What do
I
we
think he's playing, but...
What do we think about the guys behind him? We saw Deon Jackson last year already in limited amounts. You know, Jonathan Taylor went down in the middle of the season, and even before that, Deon Jackson was playing a good amount before Zach Moss got there. So Deon Jackson last year was pretty horrible in the run game. He, really bad.
He
averaged
fairly horrible.
He was 3.1 true yards per carry or something horrible like that. But he was number 7 in yards created per touch. So he was doing, when he got the ball in his hands, he was able to do something. He was able to make the first guy miss. And even with the horrible run blocking, he was decent in the run game. So what does he look like in the receiving game? 34 targets on a 21.4% opportunity share. So he only got approximately 20% of the running back opportunities in that offense, and he still got 34 targets, meaning when he was on the field, he was catching the ball most of the time. And I think in half PPR leagues, that's going to be worth something. You know, I don't know if you're playing, maybe you're watching this for best ball. I think Deon Jackson is worth picking up in best ball, and I think he's going to move up. He was being undrafted in, I bet, 95% of drafts before this, and I think he's worth picking up in some of those 18th rounds. If you're in your standard league, don't touch him. You know, pick him off the waivers. I guess.
Yeah, that's the receiving upside that you're going to want to look for with Deon Jackson.
Oh, man.
Don't take his yards per carry or any sort of those efficiency metrics for really meaning anything in what he's going to do this season if Jonathan Taylor for some reason doesn't play, because what you're going to want to see from Deon Jackson that will transcend whatever workload he gets is going to be his receiving upside. That doesn't affect his efficiency or anything, but like the one game where he did have a serious workload, 67% snap share, he scored 28 points, and that was off 10 targets for 10 receptions and 79 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the type of thing that you're going to want to look for, is just a guy that you can plug and play with. Even in best ball, if you're just taking a shot in the 18th round and you're worried about Jonathan Taylor, you can just grab him there, get some receiving upside.
I do want to address, we forgot to talk about Zach Moss. Zach Moss broke his arm today in the Colts training camp.
Which is why this is significant.
So these two guys are really the only guys a lot of people are looking at in the Colts backfield right now. And the second guy, you say two guys, who's the second? It's Evan Hull. Evan Hull was drafted in the fifth round. Fifth round by the Colts this last year. And who is Evan Hull? Well, he's this...
Better than Zach Evans.
He's this kid out of Northwestern last year. 5.2 yards per carry in college in the Big Ten on Northwestern, so not a powerful offense by any means, but he was able to produce. He had a 17.3% target share last year, so another guy who's really excelled in the receiving game, and he had 55 receptions for 546 yards last year, so almost 10 yards per catch, and that you look at that as a prospect, and that means he's probably going to be able to take that to the NFL and also be able to produce in the receiving game. Like we said, 5.2 yards per carry in the Big Ten. He would probably be, if you're looking now at Deon Jackson and Evan Hull, the one getting the carries in the Colts offense. And in best ball drafts, I would lean Evan Hull over Deon Jackson.
Yeah, just keep an eye on these guys when you're going into your fantasy leagues, because as opposed to a guy like Keontae Ingram, who we're not very excited about if a guy like James Conner went down, you're looking at the Colts offense being a six-back offense where they're going to be running the ball, running a lot of RPOs, regardless of who's in that backfield. If Jonathan Taylor isn't playing, it's next man up. It's Evan Hull and it's Deon Jackson.
Yeah, and the next guy on this list is going to be James Conner. Now, with James Conner, I don't really understand this, but people are starting to catch on. That's why he's but it is. It's going up. His ADP is going up.
He's moved up like 5 or 6 spots in the last month.
But he's still entirely too low. He's going to the RB25 on Underdog Fantasy in 13 games. 13, guys. So that's not even a full season. In 13 games, he was 13th in targets. Yeah, that's decent. He was 17th in receiving yards. Oh, that's decent. Yeah, well, that's not hard, though.
Yeah.
He was 16th in touchdowns. Oh, that's pretty good. He was 9th in points per game. Actually, after returning from injury, James Conner averaged 19 points per game through the last 9 weeks. I'm going to say that one more time for you. So James Conner came back from injury, and when he did, he averaged 19 points per game.
But Avery, doesn't the Cardinals' offensive line suck?
Yes.
You might respond, the Cardinals' offensive line sucked last year too. James Conner still produced, and he's going to do the same thing again.
He's hyper efficient. Yep. And here's the key, guys. Kyler?
Oh, he's not
probably
hyper
playing
efficient.
this
You
year.
said he's not hyper efficient. He gets the opportunities though.
Yes, he gets good opportunity to share, and this is something that we're going to
I think
preach
he's
a
pretty
lot.
efficient with his
We're
He's
touches.
pretty efficient,
Guys,
but
we're gonna preach this a lot in fantasy football. There has been a trend of recent that says if they play on a bad offense, they should not be considered when you're doing your fantasy drafts. We would say when everyone's zigging, what do? We zag. Which basically, when everyone is going to be fading those
Zags.
running backs that are on bad offenses, that means you're going to get them at very good value at a discount price, and at that point, they are worth taking.
I mean, he was 6th in snap share last year, and like you were saying, it's the opportunity. 8th in opportunity share. He's gonna get. It's the volume, and again, it's because Kyler's not going to play. The Cardinals, they had much bigger needs than on the whole team than running back this year, and they proved it. They did not draft a running back. You know who said they were going to draft a running back?
yeah.
He said it. They didn't. Why?
They
Who else are
didn't-
they going to bring in? I mean, you could maybe see. I don't know.
They didn't, and I think James Conner is going to produce anywhere from 5 to 10 spots higher than running back 25. He's honestly, you could see people go down, and if James Conner stays healthy, you could see him producing as a borderline running back 1. And the next guy, Dalvin Cook, who has not signed with anyone,
Nathan Stern
is up next.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook, running back 31. And look, his situation going into this year is still in limbo. I think a lot of the reason people are reluctant to take Dalvin Cook is what situation is he going to end up being in? Is he going to be splitting time with another running back? And honestly,
Does it matter?
at running back 31, does it really matter if he's splitting time? Because this is a guy that still has some decent receiving upside, and they'll probably be using him more in the passing game because he got less efficient as a runner. So when you're looking at receiving upside, when you're looking at red zone usage, when you're looking at a guy like Aaron Rodgers potentially under pressure in the red zone, needs to dump it off to a guy, Dalvin Cook's that guy, especially if Breece Hall is seeming to take a bit longer than we anticipated when it comes to ACL recovery. That's kind of why the Jets are looking at potentially bringing in Dalvin Cook. They met with them this past weekend, and we would anticipate maybe even by the time this video comes out that Dalvin Cook is on the Jets, has signed with the Jets, and will be playing for them this year. And when you're looking at a guy like Dalvin Cook at running back 31, who did produce last season as a running back 1, I don't think he'll produce like he did last season, but I think there's some in between where it's going to be much better than running back 31, not quite a running back 1. That is league winning upside.
Do you think Dalvin Cook signing with the Jets is going to have some impact on the running back market in general, though? When he gets paid, however much they pay him.
I don't think so because he's already gotten a deal like multiple years before. Yeah, he already got a second contract.
Yep.
So, look,
I'm interested to see where he goes.
Last season, Dalvin Cook was 5th in snap share, opportunity share, and red zone touches, and then 6th in rushing yards and 2nd in routes run. The routes run is what we care about the most. Yes, his opportunity share is probably going to go down in the run game. He got less efficient. You have to admit it. You do.
Yeah.
Running back 31, give me Dalvin Cook there all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Javonte Williams is going to be the next guy on this list. And look, with Javonte, we know. He tore his ACL. He tore his LCL. He tore his PCL.
That's a third of the alphabet.
And he is good to go before Breece
9
Hall
letters.
is.
But there's repeat letters.
Yeah, but it's still
There's only 4.
9 letters,
There's only 4
Avery.
letters though. Right?
Look,
Yes.
ACL.
I didn't say unique letters.
So okay.
Now we're doing an alphabet lesson.
So anyways,
He blew his knee.
Believe it or not, this guy. Oh, I might fight back on this one. This guy.
No,
I guess he is skyrocketing.
he's skyrocketing.
He's
That's what
skyrocketing.
we're
Not
talking
that
about
I'm
here.
drafting him, but he was actually cleared for contact, and he's not on the pup list, and he's not a puppy dog. That's pretty significant, actually. I mean, that alone smashed up his ADP. Smashed up. How do you smash something up? His ADP, and he's immediately. He's been there. You go. He's been jumping up a full round of ADP or more because people are so optimistic about Javonte Williams right now. Let's start positive.
Yeah,
Let's start positive. He averaged 4 receptions per game last year, which in PPR leagues is huge, right?
huge.
Positive thing number 2, Sean Payton. That's all you need to say, right? In terms of tailoring your offense around your best players' skill sets.
Did you see what Sean Payton said about Nathaniel Hackett last year? He said it was the worst
Yeah,
coaching
I know. That was
situation he'd ever
wild.
seen.
That was wild. And also very funny.
Yeah.
Pretty hilarious.
Because he's not
wrong,
actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like Simon said, so that's a positive thing. Like Simon said, he tore a third of the alphabet in his knee.
Yeah.
Which isn't right, but I'll give it to you. A third. That's bad. And what have we learned about guys who not only have ACL tears, but guys that have a lot of collateral damage in those ACL tears? I'm thinking of one J.K. Dobbins. And do you remember watching him after he came back last year? I mean, the last couple games of the season, he started to pick it up a little bit. At first, he literally was back, and then he wasn't, and then he wasn't, and he wasn't, and he wasn't, and he finally. I mean, he didn't even really play most of last season.
Yeah, he had freaking antlers sticking out of his knee.
So that was disgusting. So with Javonte Williams, is he skyrocketing up boards? Yes, he is. Are we picking him? No, absolutely not. And
Nathan.
I see the side for why Javonte Williams would be exciting. And the biggest reason is definitely going to be Sean Payton. I mean, I don't think people understand how much of a significant upgrade this is going from Hackett to Sean Payton and just game planning in general. Javonte Williams, look, when you're comparing him to J.K. Dobbins, you got to understand it.
J.K. wasn't cleared this time of year.
And you have to recognize J.K. was not cleared this time last year. J.K., honestly, it has taken him so long to get over this injury, he might be the outlier.
But J.K. did all that damage to his knee in training camp.
Right.
I mean, he tore it in week 4. So we're talking
right,
October
and he's already
of last year.
reporting to training camp. He's already way ahead of schedule than J.K. Dobbins, which makes you think that J.K. Dobbins is the outlier.
But he's not, because we have so many examples of guys who do damage to their knee, running backs coming back the next year. It takes them 2 years.
To get back to their same efficiency.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that have torn their ACL, which, correct, it was only their ACL. Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Adrian Peterson, all those guys, it was less significant. But, I mean, look at the fact that Javonte Williams is literally ready to go before Breece Hall, and we thought this entire time that Breece Hall's injury was way less significant than Javonte's. Maybe he's just ready to go. And at running back 27, I'm not projecting Javonte Williams to be a running back 1 or anything, but as a running back 3 in fantasy football, I think there is a very solid chance that he outproduces that this year. So
okay, so here would be my counter. Would you rather draft Javonte Williams or wait? Let's see here,
and get a guy like James Conner,
20 picks and get Zach Charbonnet?
Well, with Zach Charbonnet's injury, I don't know.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, in non-PPR leagues, I'm taking Javonte. In PPR leagues, I think pick your poison. Honestly, Charbonnet's out indefinitely. They don't even know how long he'll be out with that shoulder injury. Yeah. We don't know what it is. They kind of been secretive about it. So, I mean, I'm feeling just as good taking Javonte at this point as I am Charbonnet when it comes to the risk of them going into this year.
Yeah,
I think I
understand.
Yeah. So
still,
I don't think he's the worst pick in the world.
Now,
Let's say that.
I don't think it's a bad strategy to avoid altogether guys coming off.
Am
ACLs.
I picking Javonte Williams consistently and lightly? No. Like I am well aware of the risk with Javonte Williams when I pick him. I'm just saying I understand why some people are excited about him. I understand why he's moving up draft boards because it is a very big deal that he's reporting to training camp. And if you're going to listen to any training camp hype, a guy who's come off an ACL, LCL, and PCL injury and is cleared for contact, that is saying something in training camp. So
you've got the last guy on this list, and he is.
He should be higher than this.
I'm surprised that
higher.
I'm surprised that he didn't jump up more. I thought he was going to no longer be a value, and he still is.
He went from this is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon went from running back 18 to 16 to now 15, which really isn't a big jump. But you used to be able to get him in 5th round, sometimes even the 6th, and now he's finally snuck into the 4th round. Joe Mixon has been so good. His entire career since his rookie year in PPR leagues, since his rookie year, he has not averaged less than 14 points per game. So his rookie year he did, but since then he's been so good. Guess what? He's staying in Cincy. He restructured his contract because he wants to stay there. He knows that offense is good for him to produce, and he's going to do that again. Last year, he was 5th in receptions, 6th in reception yards, 6th in red zone touches. That means touchdowns, by the way, and 7th in overall opportunity share. He got a lot of touches on a very good offense, and that's not going to change. And we get a lot, there was a lot of his production that came from one game. He scored however many touchdowns, had all those yards. But Joe Mixon is still a good running back on a good offense. By the way, he has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins still on that same offense.
Yeah.
And that's going to open up running lanes for him. They have that improved offensive line from last year that did struggle, but give that squad a year together. We don't know what Joe Mixon's going to do this year. And I think at running back 15, when he's been a running back 1 so consistently over the last few years, I think this is a really good pick where he could be a top 6 to 8 running back again.
Yeah.
And you're going to be really glad you took Joe Mixon in the 4th round? Yes, please.
Yep. And a lot of people are going to say, well, domain guys, Last season, the only reason that Joe Mixon produced as a running back one and looked so efficient and so good on a points per game basis is because of his 155-point
I said that.
game where he had 5 touchdowns. Yeah, I know. I'm just reinforcing. Look beyond that and remember that Samaje Perine is no longer on that offense. He went to Denver, and that does say a lot. I mean, Perine did take a lot of. He did take a significant amount from different games last season, and now the guys that are behind Joe Mixon are Chase Brown, who's a 5th round
Don't sleep on Chase
rookie
Brown.
pick and 23 years old, and then Chris Evans.
But Joe
It's
Mixon,
Joe Mixon there all day.
he's moved up a lot. He skyrocketed. Are we still taking him?
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd take him in the 3rd pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, I would too.
I love it. All right, those are 5 guys, 5 running backs, skyrocketing up rankings for one reason or another, and our thoughts on them. So do us a huge favor. If you haven't subscribed, we're trying to get you 1,000. We are almost there. So please, make sure you're subscribed. And if you like the video, that also helps us reach more people, and that will help more people subscribe, and then we'll get to 1K, and that's what we want to do. So make sure you are also subscribed. Make sure you head over to flockfantasy.com/domain. If you want to win your fantasy leagues this year, there is no better resource than flockfantasy.com, and especially when you use our code. When you use our code, you get access to our rankings, articles, databases. You get on our Discord so you can chat with us. You get a team review video of your fantasy team. And even more things coming soon. So make sure flockfantasy.com/domain. Heading over there, 30% off. What?
Nothing.
What? What? Say it.
I just said team.
What did I say?
Nothing.
All right. See you later.